We're on.
Okay, we're live.
All right, so welcome everyone to the February 25th Tourism Sioux State Marine Board meetings. To do a quick roll call, joining us online, we have Tara from the city and Richard Walker. In-house here at City Hall for the city, we have Alana and Travis, and then for the board, we have Melissa, Jeff, Lawrence, and myself, and we have some guests visiting us that'll be doing the presentation a little bit later. So welcome everyone, welcome friends. Approval of minutes from the January 21st meeting. Any questions or comments after reviewing that? Lawrence?
Just in regards to the wording of the for the cycling club, it's the minutes state that the leftover funds for held in escrow for the purchase of the new machine. I believe that we discussed that it was for the purchase of a machine or repairs.
Yeah.
Tara, did you catch that to update the previous minutes?
I have it.
Yep. Okay, excellent. Aside from that change, were there any other questions or concerns? Okay, so we will get that updated, but do I have a mover for approval of those minutes? Lawrence, seconder Melissa, and all in favor? Okay. There were no declaration of pecuniary interest on this one. Excellent. Travis, I will turn it over to you please for a tourism overview and update.
Thank you, Beverly. We're gonna keep this one brief. I guess the most salient item was the applications to the board were brought to City Council last night. Happy to say that nearly all the existing board members will continue for another term. We have one swap out, which was on the accommodation sector. So we're Dawn has been switched out for Kelly Walker. Kelly was on the board a couple terms ago. And obviously, I know he's not here, but we'd like to thank Dawn for his service. I think he was, he's been on the board since the outset. Very vocal, brought a lot of good discussion to the board, so certainly he'll be missed. The other item is, so the Wishart Creek Bridge, fully on site, the abutments, concrete's been poured this week. And the installation is currently scheduled for next week. So been working on that one since 2019. Be very nice to see it in place.
Big green check mark on that one for you, Travis.
140-foot bridge, which will allow everybody to, from a recreation standpoint, connect third and fourth line over the Root River. So that's kudos to everyone involved, including the board members. Okay, and lastly, we attended the Outdoor Adventure Show over the weekend in Toronto. Approximately 25,000 attendees at that show. We had a larger booth this year. Again, incredibly well attended. A lot of interest in Sault Ste. Marie. A lot of individuals that had said, they've been on the train 20 years ago. We're hoping to come back and use it again. Also a lot of comments about our mountain bike trails, hiking, and interest in paddling. And I would say over the course of the last 3 years, when we first started attending, there was a lot of questions about where is Sault Ste. Marie, what do you guys have to offer? And this year it was like, hey, Sault Ste. Marie, can't wait to go there. I heard a lot of great things. So our brand recognition, particularly in Southern Ontario, has grown quite a bit. I will keep it at that for now, with the exception of, and I'm just looking to see, the numbers came in very late for the map, but they are there. So nice bump again in terms of the collection of the map. We're up by, so we ended at 1,845,000 and change. So that was a great added little bump. Just over what we collected last year. So good to see it continue to rise, and obviously means more funds available for investment in both our tourism products, but also potentially a bump in what we have in store for marketing.
Travis, can I ask a question? I saw on the council agenda yesterday, there was that resolution on basically the 2023 MAT funds that came in for the city share. Um, how would I say this? Is it always going to be 2 years after the funds, or is that just a cleanup that
In
happened
terms of the transfer of funds for Wishart,
Yeah,
so we had a significant amount of discussion with finance last year. And we're trying to get it released sooner rather than later. Unfortunately, there was delay there. It should be, I think. Going forward, I will put immediately in the resolution to be passed by council. So.
yeah, because I mean, we've spent a lot of money on that bridge already in 2024. That's why.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we thought incorrectly so that we would be allowed to transfer the funds immediately. And there was ongoing discussion with our finance team and legal as to the appropriate way that we could do that. So.
Okay.
Any questions for Travis with regards to the overview and update? Thank you, Travis. Richard, do you have any notes on the financial update?
Not really. I mean, other than I did do a quick calculation to Travis mentioned about the 1,845,000 in MAT funds. So there's going to be around 490,000 plus dollars going into the TDF fund. And then obviously 490 some odd thousand dollars into the city coffers for tourism products. So roughly that's what we're going to be looking at, assuming that same thing as what happened last year.
Can I go back to the question that Richard asked? I think it's salient.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Richard, I just want to explain further why there was the delay. I just thought about this. Counts are legal and finance, and primarily finance is treating the transfer of funds the same way that the funds would be transferred out of the TDF. So it's as though so the funds must be expended in advance, and then they're prorating the payment according to the percentage of all funding. So the city's contribution is 14%. In order to get a reasonable payment, we would have had to accrue a significant amount of money towards the bridge in order to get the portion of the payment. So even now, the immediate payment won't be 250,000, it'll be 14% of what we accrued.
Can't we do a better? Do you want us to help argue with the city about that? Because I mean, if you get a FedNor grant on these things, they will advance up to 90% of whatever the projected cost is. I mean, the city's coffers are a heck of a lot bigger than certainly ours are. And at some point in time, we may not have the funds in order to do exactly what you're talking about. So
100%, and that was kind of the ongoing debate that went on for a good portion of the year. And I think that the last correspondence that I had was perhaps looking at a different method of dealing with this.
Okay.
Fair statements. Okay, anything else to add with regards to the financial update? If not, we will move over to new business. I
don't know if we have any new business.
don't have anything on the agenda, so.
Okay. Can I ask another question, or I'm going to tell a story first? And so last week, I read a story about the Tennessee Tourism Board, where with Trump's tariffs coming in to Canada, 30% of booked tours from Canadians were canceled on the day he announced that. On the thought process, or my question, I guess, is, are we thinking about what that may, or how tourism may be impacted from the US people coming across the border for 2025?
We have, I mean, there's certainly internal conversations with our own KPIs. We are potentially forecasting a decline. When we were at the Outdoor Adventure Show, we did have a number of people come up and say that they had planned travel into the US, they had canceled. Certainly on the kind of mountain bike and outdoor rec specific ones, are now planning, based on our conversations, to come to the Sioux. So I think we're hoping that we can certainly infill with some of that Canadian travel. We are making a conscious decision to continue marketing in the States, because I think if we don't, it'll take a number of years to kind of get that brand recognition back into the US. So we're still intending to go to engineering days in Sioux, Michigan, and continue advertising in my north. I think it's no different than COVID. I know certainly at that time the board had put restrictions on the amount, or a board member wanted to put restrictions on the amount that we could advertise, and I firmly believe that that's a mistake. So I think we have to continue advertising in the US, so that there are quite a few Americans that would still come to Canada, regardless of the kind of geopolitical concerns there.
Do you think another question, do you think the average American understands that their dollar is worth $1.40 plus in Canada?
No.
That was what I was gonna add on, is, well, as a resident American, like, half of America would probably be more likely to Canada now.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the exchange rate has swung in favor of the US dollar recently, and that's gonna boost travel. So even if I think air bookings from US to Canada are now down 4%.
Okay.
So I mean, it's a thing, but not a disaster, not anywhere near a disaster.
Yeah.
I actually think it's almost the reverse, right? We have an opportunity domestically to recover some domestic folks that would be looking to travel into the US. So I think we have an opportunity here to keep people in Ontario that may otherwise be wanting to go down to the States.
Mhm.
Great.
We could do some tongue-in-cheek campaigns, like try before you buy into the US. I think we need to think about how we can actually better access the market given the situation.
I do think the car keen, and I mean, I think sooner or later someone's gonna just throw bricks through car windows, like up and down Main Street that have US plates. I think sooner or later there's gonna be something that's could really cause a problem. But
The US marketplace at the Outdoor Adventure Show was getting very little traffic this year compared to last. Yeah, I think the sentiment is starting to feel personal.
Completely. Like I said, we've been traveling into the States so much, and everybody is very personal.
Anywho, we'll keep our eyes on that one.
So with that, we move into agenda item 7A, which is the Sioux Surge presentation. So Alana, I will ask for you to give a quick intro for us, please.
Sure thing. Tara, I'll get you to pull up the presentation, please. And I will introduce our guest today. So today we have Rod Thomas, he's the head coach for Sioux Surge, and Jason Thompson, who's the club president for Sioux Surge, and Ben Ayton, who's a city employee that oversees all of the local cities.
Wherever you feel comfortable.
So today we're going to hear a presentation about some upgrades that Sioux Surge would like to do to the swim blocks to try and enhance what they have there with the facilities, and in turn hopefully try and bring in some more events to our city. So with that, gentlemen, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm Rod Thomas. I'm the head coach of the Sioux Surge Club team. We are a club of almost 100 kids. And we travel quite extensively. We're at the point now, we've got a beautiful facility at the John Roads. We're hoping to kind of increase that. We just successfully hosted our regional championships that we've had. And we had 250 swimmers this past year, of which 42 were ours, so that means there was well over 200 swimmers coming in from out of town. Families, there's no longer ability, so everybody's getting a hotel room, getting meals and being looked after there. So I think there is a real good economic benefit. The more successful our program is, the more people kind of come to Sioux. Maybe we go from there. We have our next meet coming up the end of April, 25th, 26th, 27th. You're more than welcome to come out and stop in and take a look and see what we're doing. What we're looking for in our ask is, change the slide, please.
Yeah, you take the slide up, gotta give an intro. Go to slide. Slide 4 maybe?
Yeah, next slide.
Is there any questions about the Sioux Surge Club or the program, what we're all about? Okay.
All right, we're looking to partner with the John Roads. We're getting some new blocks. Part and parcel of it, there is the backstroke wedge, which is a piece of equipment to allow backstroke swimmers to be able to launch off the wall a little more efficiently with a little bit more speed, a little more velocity. That will result in a reduction of times, which will allow our facility to be amongst one of the best in Northern Ontario. And allow our kids the opportunity to try and compete in provincials, of which we have a number heading off to provincials this weekend. 3 of which are proficient in the backstroke, and it would be nice for us to be able to have this equipment where they could practice on it on a fairly regular basis, that we just don't have the opportunity to be able to do it. Our wedges right now are very much old style. Are hooked up around the base of the blocks and just are cumbersome and very difficult to kind of put in place on a regular basis.
And can I just jump in? I know Rod mentioned that we do host 3 events. We have a regional meet, a championship meet, and an invitational. So the championship meet is the one for all of Northern Ontario. We are fortunate enough to have that. It's not guaranteed that we're gonna get it. So right now, I think Northern Ontario is pretty impressed with the pool, but we need to continue to make those upgrades. To make sure that there is not a debate on, hey, we should pass along this meet to North Bay, the Sudbury, right? We want to make sure that people are happy, people want to continue to be coming to the Sioux and to this pool. Sorry, go ahead.
Next slide, please. So this is the underwater view of the blocks. And we'll go from there. So we're looking at professional starting blocks equipped with advanced features such as a movable footrest that enhances athletes' dive starts with greater power and explosiveness. We are looking for the Mirtha backstroke system. It's a safer system, optimizes push-off power, ensures a more stable starting position for backstroke, and basically allows backstrokers that come to our town. One thing that we have right now, what we have is people asking us, when are you guys getting new starting blocks? And hopefully that's coming, and this is all part and parcel of the next phase. Next slide, thank you. All right, so specifically, we're looking for 8 units. We've got an 8-lane pool. They're about $1,000 a piece, so a total of $8,000. Installation costs are included, facility preparation included, and it'll go with the starting block purchase, which I think Ben has procured through the city already. So this is just kind of the next step on top of the blocks to help us again attract more people into the community. Next slide. Oh, that's about it. Any questions?
I'm just curious, so the blocks that you're presenting, are they strictly for backstroke, or are they also?
If we can go back 2 slides. One more. There we go. So it's this piece here, right? There's the starting block.
Mhm.
The backstroke ledge is basically a connector that kind of fits and slips in onto the backstroke or onto the starting blocks. that has a ledge that kind of sits down here where the swimmers are able to put their feet on and go from there. Basically, they pull off and on, and they're able to kind of get set up. So that's what we're looking at. Yeah.
And just looking for clarity, the city is procuring the blocks themselves, right? We're looking at upgrades on that.
Yes, so we already have capital funding for the blocks. We do not have all the capital funding for the addition of the backstroke, which is,
And what's the timeline on the blocks?
they can be created in about 8 weeks. So they're custom built to fit into our old system, the anchoring systems we already have there. But the company says they can have them in 8 weeks. Once we get it, we'll have the PO.
And then so the 8,000 is the add-on for this backstroke specific.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
And where does that play in with other facilities throughout Northern Ontario? Are they
Yeah,
already
Ontario.
using those, or is there an advantage there?
There is an advantage there, as you're well aware, right? The long course pool in Sudbury is shut down. And they're swimming out of city pools that are built 60s, 70s. So that is a huge advantage to us. Right now, the only facility that I would say would be superior to ours would be the Thunder Bay facility, which is a long course built for the Canada Games back in 1980, and it started to kind of show its age. And this will again bring it up to a level. I think our pool is relatively fast. Speaking from a coaching standpoint, and even when I coached out of town, I had kids that really look forward to coming to this facility because we had the deck space was here. The blocks at the time were decent enough. And I'm glad that we're getting an upgrade. And there's a little bit of a warm down area that the athletes can partake in after a tough swim. And I've had some success as an out of town coach coming here swimming fast. And I think we see that in our meet in April coming up. Is I'm telling my colleagues and asking them to come up because you're coming to our meet because it's an opportunity for them to be able to be in a great city. Great view, especially I know February is a little different time of year. But April is a great opportunity, and we've got a club that's coming up from Michigan. We've got 2 clubs from Thunder Bay committed to coming. We've got clubs from Sudbury and North Bay coming. And I'm hoping at some point in time that we'll be able to, with some decent kind of facilities that we'll be able to generate and attract the clubs from the greater Toronto area to come up and do it. And if we can be on par with this kind of system, then it's not a disadvantage for them to travel when they can stay in their backyard and use the facility there.
What are the ages of your competitors?
We run a program 7 to 18. We do have kids that are off at university, kids, older athletes, student athletes. We actually had 2 compete this past weekend, 3 compete this past weekend at the conference championships, 2 of which came back with medals. So we've got kids that kind of move on to bigger and better things, which is kind of cool. So.
I was just gonna quickly remind the board that you provided us support through TDF last year for the spring invitational. So this is a good step to continue to move that support that was already put out.
Yeah, thank you for that support.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Thank you very much for the
Thank you.
presentation, guys.
All right,
Thank you.
we've got extra chocolate chip cookies.
Welcome to help yourself. They're excellent.
Go for it. Only one.
So next steps from here, the board will have a discussion and then provide a recommendation, which will then go to city council, so you'll hear from me sometime in the next day or two.
Thank you.
All right, and again, end of April, please come out and come and see what we'll do in action. Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, guys. We gotta leave it open, right?
Yeah.
Any discussion around the application for Sioux Search?
Is this, I'm assuming these will help their April invitation.
That's why I wanted to know the time, yeah.
Okay, 8 weeks.
You know what, even if they don't have it this time, it's part of that broader momentum, right? It's I've learned a lot about swimming in the last little while. And like every other sport, it's competitive, right? If you don't have the facilities, there's a chance that they're gonna go somewhere else. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I think that's what he was alluding to, that, you know, if they're not coming to comparable facilities here, it's not there's no engagement or desire to want to travel.
Yeah, and so what
to lesser
happens?
facilities.
What happens with those qualifying meets that they're talking about is those participants are prescribed, right? You have to qualify to get to go to those. The invitational one is the homegrown one, where you can invite whoever you want to come, and you have to try and have some sort of an allure to draw them here. It's open, so that's the one that I really want to see for us, you know, from a tourism perspective. Get behind and help support to build that, because we can grow that. It's not a prescribed number of participants.
I will say, I believe that their invitational is the same weekend as the 3-on-3 hockey tournament. So, you know, in future conversations.
Take a look at that.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't just super convinced about the tourism tie-in, and I see there's something there, but. To me, the question is, why are we funding this as opposed to, or helping fund specific events?
I think there's an opportunity for both. So with the TDF, there's the two streams with the product development and then the event side. So the conversation is to encourage them not do one or the other, do both, and try and really get behind it.
I like,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, I just like the idea that there's 250 participants, 45 local, so that's 200 families.
Mhm.
And that happens 3 times a year, like 3 different situations, right? So potential of 700-800 people throughout the year coming to the races. And I know when they don't qualify, they're devastated, like, and it's rare that our kids in the Sioux don't qualify for at least the Northern Ontario. I don't have a swimmer, no hockey players and soccer players, but.
Is the $8,000 best used here as opposed to marketing or other outreach for the event?
My opinion, yeah. Yeah, because what will happen is the city will, they have money to buy the new blocks. Not they, we have money to buy the new blocks. So there's in capital, there'll be a prescribed amount that says this is what we're putting into blocks. Those additional pieces are not in the budget, so it'll at earliest get there next year. And it may or may not be something that is looked at as a necessity. And without those, we're now at a disadvantage.
We have a significant amount of money available in the
Mhm.
that will be replenished this month.
And what was our commitment for the spring invitational this year?
I can double check. I want to say it was somewhere around 2,000, like it was low. Because if you take a look at how we allot money in the TDF for events, it's based on visitors, and it was their first year, so they didn't have any true data as to what they were expecting. I think if they were to reapply, there's a possibility that they can continue to bump that up a little bit, depending on what they need. I know in conversation with them, I can say concretely, right now, this is what they need.
Richard, anything from you?
Not, not really, but I guess I would make one comment is, if I understood him correctly, is these things potentially could increase somebody's time. So that may be a draw for some athletes to come to Sault Ste. Marie if they get an increase in their time so that they qualify for some other race. So I mean, that could be a good marketing ploy on their behalf.
Call it a fast pool.
And the reverse, if you don't have them, you have a lower time.
It's gonna affect your
Affect your
qualifying for down south, right?
Mhm.
Like, cause you're regional, right? And anything.
Well, we do, and right now with, before we were at a disadvantage, right, with Sudbury with their pool.
Cool.
Yeah, so now that, it's unfortunate for them, but it's a good opportunity for us.
Okay, anything else with regards to Sioux Surge? Otherwise, we will move on to the St. Marie Kennel Club 2025 job fair.
Okay, I don't think I need to get into too much detail with this. I'll just do a recap. We've been working with the Kennel Club for a few years now. This is one of those groups where a pleasure to work with because they have a really strong organizing committee. They have a good, very dedicated group of people that are working to execute their events. So from our side, it's always nice when you know that they're doing the work to continue to try and grow it. They've been met with a few hurdles along the way. Speaking with the political challenges, this particular group got hit last year. I don't know if you remember with the border restrictions with bringing your dogs over the border. So it really impacted their event last year, even though everything was changed. It was like, and it's just been a big challenge, but they've been able to continue to hold on, bringing in some relatively good numbers still. They've been doing this event for 50 years. It's a qualifying event for some of the more prestigious dog shows. Again, I've also learned a lot about dog shows. And there is a lot of people that are very interested and that are very dedicated to this sport. It is amazing. So with these events, you can qualify for events like the Westminster. If anybody's familiar with dog shows, that's kind of the creme de la creme. So this is how you get from Sault Ste. Marie to make your way that way. So you have to start with these types of shows. So they are moving in 2023. If you look through the recap, they used the John Rose facility, and then they had to move last year to the NCC because of the ice swap at that facility. They're finding that this year they're going to try and use the Pee-wee. The rent is a little bit less and that facility is empty and it's close to some of the hotels, which seem to make a good fit for them. So they're going to try it there. What they need help with is just offsetting some of the rental fees so that they can repurpose the money that they have coming in through sponsorship and donations to offset the actual expenses of running the event. So the main expense is bringing in the judges. They have to bring in qualified judges from out of town, put them up, pay for them. So by us helping to offset the venue, then it frees up some money in their budget to do that.
Are those judges part of the attendance projection?
Yeah, I think there's like 3 judges. So
Can I ask, as I realize that I'm the only accommodations partner around the table, how do they find for getting pet-friendly accommodations? Because our pet-friendly accommodations in Sault Ste. Marie are relatively limited. So have they expressed challenges with that?
they haven't. It was actually the opposite. They said that they've actually really liked Sault Ste. Marie. And I know some of them do stay at the KOA.
Mhm.
But the
I mean, why
accommodation,
that makes sense.
yeah, they haven't expressed any issue
Okay.
to me. But I can put a little more.
I just want to make sure because we do have limited
Mhm.
hotels that accept pets.
Mhm,
And often I know for myself, out of my 175 rooms, I only have 10 that are pet friendly.
mhm.
So
Okay, I will make a point to ask that specific question. I do know that a good number of them stayed at the KOA, and I know some of them do come with units that are air conditioned trailers. So they actually stay in the hotel and their pets stay comfortably in their pet lodges. Yeah. Perfect. Yep.
any other questions or comments with regards to the dog show? Richard?
What's the date of it?
July 11th.
July 11 to 13. Yeah, these are the homegrown ones where it's good just to, it's not a ton of money, but for us, it's a huge amount for them. Makes a big difference.
So that was everything with regards to tourism development funds on this agenda. So we are down to resolutions. The first resolution is with regards to the Sioux Surge Aquatic Team. And it reads, be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors recommend a contribution of $8,000 through the Tourism Development Fund product development stream to support the Sioux Surge Aquatic Team for the purchase of the Mirtha backstroke system, and a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover for this resolution? Melissa? And Jeff is a seconder, and I'll call for a vote. And that one carries. The second one is with regards to the $4,000 ask for the Kennel Club. And it reads, be it resolved that the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors recommend a contribution of $4,000 through the Tourism Development Fund Conference and Special Events Stream to support the 2025 Sault Ste. Marie Kennel Club Dog Show to be hosted July 11th to 13th, 2025, and that a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover for this resolution? Lawrence and Jeff again as a seconder. And I'll call for a vote. And that one also carries. That covers everything on the agenda unless anybody has anything else to add? No? Okay.
Clickety click.
Okay. Next meeting is set for March 18th, 2025. And with that, I will call for a mover to.
Just 1 second. One piece of, well, I don't think we can have it on the agenda, but for next agenda, don't forget, we still have to appoint the auditors.
Oh, right. On that note, I sent them a message. I'm waiting to hear back to see if we can set up a time next week to have a conversation with them. So
Okay. So we need to.
I'd like to have that conversation and then we can give a final approval.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So mover for adjournment, Melissa and Lawrence. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Richard. Enjoy the